Lost in the forest, a lifeless monument. The carving of a message in a tongue that is unknown. An entire city wiped off all maps. These are more than just tales. These serve as cautions, evidence of a more complex, enigmatic, and perhaps perilous history than what we currently perceive. We have forgotten what they knew. Just picture this. Empires that once dominated the eastern Mediterranean with their magnificent cities, elite armies, and extensive commerce networks fell like dominoes in a matter of decades. Kingship has ended. Records. The valleys no longer reverberate with a clatter of bronze hammers. There was a complete stillness. This was an abrupt fall. It was the abrupt end of a period that had been held in high regard as the zenith of ancient civilization. What might have caused the rapid extinction of so many influential civilizations in the span of a single generation? No one seems to have any idea. The question remains unanswered, even after more than 3,000 years of research. As far as ancient civilizations are concerned, the fall of the Bronze Age is a mystery. Previous events, a peculiar fissure where the illumination of advancement suddenly faded. Why do you believe a string of mighty civilizations came crashing down at the same time? Did it have anything to do with global warming, conflict, or something completely else? Leave a comment with your ideas. A thriving web of Bronze Age civilizations centered in the eastern Mediterranean around 1250 B.C. The Hittite Empire ruled over a large portion of Anatolia, and its capital, Hattusa, was known for its enormous stone buildings and complex literary tradition that preserved innumerable religious tales and diplomatic treaties. In the south, Egypt was experiencing the height of its new empire, complete with a thriving artistic and cultural scene and formidable military. Amidst prosperous city-states encircled by reinforced walls and a linear crypt system for economic and administrative management, Mycenae had emerged as the westernmost power in ancient Greece. The city of Ugarit, located on the seashore to the east, was an important commercial and serving as a conduit for commodities and messages among prominent cultural groups through diplomacy. In the meanwhile, two regional powers, Babylon and Assyria, saw their economies flourish in Mesopotamia. Still, this entire structure came crashing down in a matter of decades. Without a trace in political annals, the Hittite Empire faded into memory. Following the abandonment and subsequent burning of Hattusa, no official records were kept. The city of Mycenae and other Greek sites from the Bronze Age were destroyed by fire. A dark age ushered in by the full eradication of writing and the subsequent dispersal of inhabitants lasted for over 4 centuries. During this same period, Troy was also destroyed, and Homer's Iliad memorialized it. There was no way to save Ugarit, a crucial commercial hub that was abruptly destroyed. The city's last surviving letters convey a state of utter terror at the prospect of an imminent maritime danger. Even though Egypt was successful in driving the sea peoples off of its land, the country nonetheless endured enormous social and economic losses and never fully recovered from. Previous authority. This is the most perplexing thing to scientists. No single force attacked the entire area, and no subsequent empire emerged to replace them. There was no handover of authority from one culture to another. The simultaneous disintegration created a huge hole in history, where once thriving civilizations are now reduced to ruins, pieces, and a centuries-long quiet. An enigmatic band of conquerors called the natives of the waters. Their ships, laden with iron weaponry, swooped across the eastern Mediterranean like a tempest, carrying them inland. Against these faraway island invaders, Pharaoh Rames III boasted in inscriptions. However, the reality is that their identities remain a mystery. They might have been migrants or refugees who fled their homes because of natural catastrophes, starvation, or conflict, according to certain theories. They may have originated from Anatolia, the Balkans, or perhaps farther afield. However, this is far more concerning. The ocean. The peoples were probably only a small part of something bigger. They were unable to wipe out all of these cultures on their own. Many scholars now think that a systemic chain reaction collapse in an intricately linked society, rather than just foreign invasions, caused the Bronze Age to fall. Near the close of the Bronze Age, the Eastern Mediterranean served as an early example of globalization, with kingdoms and empires relying on marine trade with one another. Trading, commodities, foodstuffs, luxuries, and diplomatic correspondence. A web of interconnected economies emerged as a result of the global trade of tin and copper, the two primary metals needed to cast bronze tools and weapons. A domino effect of collapse might occur if even a single component of this system gave way, as might happen in the event of drought, internal strife, or starvation. Experts have put up a number of important reasons. According to research on soil, pollen, and climate change, famine, mass migrations, and social upheaval might have resulted from major crop failures caused by protracted drought. Seismic tremors. Archaeological evidence indicates that a sequence of powerful earthquakes happened during the collapse period, and this area lies atop numerous fault lines. A food crisis and an internal uprising. The internal devastation of some cities may be the result of rebellions by lower-class citizens or the administrative breakdown of those towns. Iron weaponry became more common when centralized governments began to crumble. When iron started to replace bronze, conventional armies became technologically obsolete, leaving outdated military systems more susceptible to attack. These elements did not operate independently. They coalesced into a perfect storm that destroyed an apparently resilient system that had stood the test of time, bringing it crashing down in an instant from which it never recovered. Approximately 200 to 300 years after the Bronze Era's great civilizations fell, the Eastern Mediterranean region entered a dark era. Construction of monumental structures came to a halt. The act of records of trade regulations and historical events have entirely vanished. Dispersed populations living in loosely knit groups that report to no one leader. Legislative bodies failed. 1,000 years of cultural stagnation and international trade lapsed into oblivion. Particularly in Greece, civilization did not begin to recover for almost 500 years. It was not until the 8th century BCE that Athens and Sparta rose to prominence. It is remarkable that no one from that era has preserved a rationale for the demise of the old world. Here are all we have: rubble, broken clay tablets, deserted towns, and innumerable mysteries. The disintegration of the Bronze Age isn't merely a tale from antiquity. Furthermore, it serves as a sobering warning that even seemingly mighty civilizations are susceptible to collapse. Concurrently occurring stressors include climate change, sickness, overdependence on complex systems, supply chain disruptions, and war. In a flash, even the mightiest empires can crumble. Do you have any opinions on the fall of the Bronze Age? In the event that you persisted, how would you have adapted to stay alive throughout that period? Would the modern world be able to survive anything comparable happening now? Leave a comment with your ideas. Envision yourself digging up a sword that dates back more than 2,000 years to the time of spring and fall, lying buried in wet dirt next to rotting wood and skeletons. As you crack open the scabbard, you brace yourself for the sight of weathered metal. Nevertheless, what you discover is a mirror-sharp blade that can effortlessly cut through a stack of paper. Scratches and corrosion absent. This isn't legend. It's real, and it remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in archaeology and material science. How could a bronze sword defy both nature and time itself? Who forged it? And what technique allowed it to remain pristine for more than 2 millennia? The Sword of Gugien is not just a historical artifact. It is a gateway into a lost world of ancient knowledge where the secrets of forgotten metallurgy still wait to be uncovered. Join us as we explore the strangest sword in human history and the never-ending scientific journey it inspires. Could this be just a random achievement or a trace left behind by a long-lost ancient knowledge? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe in forgotten technologies? Or is there still a scientific explanation waiting to be discovered? In 1965, a team of Chinese archaeologists excavated an ancient tomb from the spring and autumn period in Hue Province. Inside a carefully sealed stone coffin surrounded by valuable artifacts and ancient human remains, they discovered a bronze sword. At first glance, it appeared unremarkable, just another relic among thousands. But when they drew the sword from its scabbard, the entire team was stunned. The blade gleamed as if freshly forged, sharp enough to slice through a stack of paper, and showed no signs of rust whatsoever. In the damp earth with stagnant air and over 2 millennia having passed, virtually no metal should have remained intact like this. Remarkably, the sword's surface was not only free of oxidation, but retained exceptional sharpness and shine. This discovery posed a troubling question for modern science. How could ancient people without modern technology or microscopic precision tools have crafted a weapon so corrosion-resistant that even today's materials struggle to compare? This was no ordinary artifact. It was a materials science paradox, evidence that ancient metallurgy may have been far more complex and advanced than we've long assumed. Shortly after the sword's discovery, experts immediately began a detailed analysis to uncover the secret behind its extraordinary resistance to rust. The results revealed that the blade was forged from a bronze-tin alloy with a highly specific elemental distribution. The tip of the blade contained a higher concentration of tin, enhancing its hardness and sharpness, ideal for a weapon designed for combat. Meanwhile, the main body of the sword had a higher copper content, which increased flexibility and helped prevent breakage upon impact. Most notably, scientists detected traces of sulfur, lead, and iron, elements not commonly found in traditional ancient alloys. Combined with advanced heat treatment techniques, these created an ultra-thin yet stable oxide layer that coated the entire blade surface. This layer was capable of completely preventing the penetration of oxygen and moisture, acting as a chemical shield that preserved the inner metal. Astonishingly, this protective coating functions similarly to modern nano-coating technologies, even though it was crafted over 2,000 years ago. Whether the result of deep metallurgical understanding or a stroke of genius, this discovery remains a scientific marvel far ahead of its time. In addition to metallurgy, scientists paid special attention to the preservation conditions of the sword within the ancient tomb, an essential factor when considering its astonishing state of preservation. The tomb was built from sealed stone, almost completely isolated from outside air, which significantly reduced natural oxidation processes. The groundwater level in the area was also found to be stable, preventing strong chemical reactions that could corrode metal. Most importantly, the sword was encased in a lacquered wooden scabbard, a material with extremely high moisture resistance, functioning much like a natural vacuum chamber, shielding the blade from direct exposure to humidity. However, even with all these favorable conditions, they still cannot fully explain why the blade remained completely rust-free and sharp, even at points directly exposed to air and moisture. This very mystery is what makes the Sword of Gujian one of the most perplexing archaeological artifacts of the 20th century. One of the most remarkable features that makes the Sword of Gujian truly unique is the inscription carved into its blade. 8 ancient characters in seal script translated as King of Gujian made this sword for his own use. This indicates that the sword was not a generic weapon mass-produced or given as tribute, but rather a highly personalized artifact directly tied to a prominent historical figure. King Gujian was once captured and humiliated by the rival state of Wu, only to later rebuild his kingdom and defeat his enemies through intelligence and perseverance. Thus, the sword was not merely a weapon. It became a symbol of vengeance, national honor, and inner strength. Remarkably, the inscription is incredibly shallow and finely carved, visible only under magnification, which suggests that ancient craftsmen may have employed highly precise micro-engraving techniques far beyond what is typically expected from ancient metalwork, adding yet another layer of mystery to the skills and technology of the era. In addition to its ancient beauty, the Sword of Gujian showcases a remarkable level of mechanical design. Measuring approximately 557 centimeters in length, its hilt is crafted from precious wood and inlaid with turquoise, not only enhancing its aesthetic appeal, but also carrying symbolic significance. Notably, the blade features finely carved longitudinal grooves along its surface, which reduce the sword's overall weight while maintaining high durability and impact resistance. This principle of aerodynamic design and structural optimization is typically seen in modern engineering. The fact that such craftsmanship existed over 2,000 years ago has astonished scientists. Ancient artisans clearly understood how to distribute force and shape a weapon that was both elegant and highly functional in battle. A vivid testament to the fusion of art and technology in the ancient world. To this day, despite the use of numerous advanced technologies such as electron microscopes, elemental spectroscopy, and 3D modeling, scientists have still been unable to fully replicate the sword of Gudgeon, especially its extraordinary resistance to corrosion. Various theories have been proposed to explain this phenomenon. Some researchers believe that ancient craftsmen may have possessed esoteric chemical knowledge that has since been lost, involving precise methods of surface treatment or alloy composition. Others suggest they may have accidentally developed ion plating or electrochemical techniques, using natural materials and processes without the aid of modern equipment. Another possibility is that the entire metallurgical method was never recorded in writing, passed down only through oral tradition among artisans, and eventually disappeared after King Gudgeon's era. In any case, the sword remains living proof of a level of technological sophistication far ahead of its time and continues to challenge the limits of modern material science. The Sword of Gudgeon is more than just an artifact. It is living proof that ancient civilizations may have reached levels of technological sophistication we still don't fully grasp. The fact that it resisted corrosion for 2,000 years stands as evidence of a lost metallurgical science, one that defies what we believe we know about material degradation. In an age where we assume science has explained almost everything, a 2,000-year-old bronze sword continues to stump modern researchers. What do you think? Did ancient people know secrets that we're only beginning to rediscover? Or are there mysteries buried in time that modern science has yet to uncover? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and let's explore the timeless enigma together. In the harsh wind-scoured deserts of Qinghai Province, China, a place where modern humans rarely tread, lies a mystery that has baffled scientists for decades. Embedded in the cliffs of Mount Bong, near the remote Tasin Lake, researchers discovered a series of strange metal pipes piercing deep into solid rock, cutting through natural cave walls as if installed using advanced industrial drilling technology. There are no signs of human habitation, no ruins, no trace of any ancient civilization that ever lived here. Yet these pipes, ranging from just a few cm to over 40 centimeters in diameter, still remain silent and unmoving like the remnants of a forgotten machine. One question grows louder. Who made them? And why do they exist in a place where no one was supposed to live? If you were standing in front of a cave, staring at hundreds of fossilized metal pipes made from materials far beyond what ancient technology could achieve, what would you believe? Do you think this is a lost technology from an ancient civilization, or remnants left behind by an extraterrestrial intelligence? Share your thoughts in the comments. One of the most astonishing aspects of the Bong pipe system is its location. Completely isolated in a desolate mountain region with no reasonable explanation as to why ancient humans would construct anything there. There are no traces of settlements, no ancient trade routes nearby, no temples or burial grounds. Remarkably, some of the pipes even extend from deep inside the mountain all the way to Tosan Lake, as if they were once used to transport water or some kind of liquid. Yet, the puzzling question remains, for whom and for what purpose when there is no sign of human habitation or activity in the area? This illogical placement turns the pipe system into an archaeological paradox, one that defies all conventional models of understanding. What makes the bong pipe system one of the most challenging mysteries for scientists does not lie in its shape or location, but rather in its extraordinary metal composition. A material that seemingly defies the logic of any known metallurgical process. Ancient or modern? When samples of the pipes were analyzed at the Chinese Institute of Geology, the results stunned the entire research team. The material was not pure iron, as many had assumed, but instead contained about 30% iron along with significant amounts of silicon dioxide, SiO2, and calcium oxide, CaO. Two substances commonly found in rock or ceramics, but rarely if ever intentionally combined with iron in any smelting process. This raises a fundamental question. How could ancient people have fused iron with non-metallic oxides without compromising the material's integrity? Achieving this would require extremely high temperatures and very precise chemical control, capabilities that no known prehistoric civilization possessed even in modern metallurgy. Adding silicon dioxide or calcium oxide to iron is uncommon, as these substances tend to make alloys brittle and structurally weak. Yet the bygone pipes, which are believed to be thousands, even tens of thousands of years old, remain intact in shape, with some segments partially petrified while still preserving their original structure. Furthermore, some analyses revealed traces of unidentified organic compounds. This has led to speculation that the pipes once carried a liquid that was not merely water, but perhaps a biological substance, a chemical fluid, or something tied to a complex technological purpose. With their uniform structure, heat-resistant and corrosion-resistant outer layers, many experts suspect they were part of an advanced fluid handling or energy transmission system rather than simple drainage pipes or naturally formed artifacts, as some simplistic theories suggest. Adding to the enigma is the petrification process found in these pipes. Instead of rusting like ordinary iron, the bong pipes have undergone mineralization, gradually transforming from metal into a ceramic or stone-like form, a process that typically takes tens of thousands of years under stable environmental conditions. The outer surfaces of many pipes appear as if they had been fired at high temperatures, then cooled rapidly, much like high-end ceramic manufacturing techniques, but applied to metal. Because of these factors, researchers can't help but ask, who created such a strange alloy? And why does its composition match no known metallurgical formula, ancient or modern, on Earth? Could this be a lost technology? Or perhaps a remnant of an ancient civilization, one that may not have even been human as we know it? Whatever the answer, the unusual composition of the bygone pipes remains at the heart of a mystery that modern science has yet to solve. Faced with the strange nature of the bong pipe system, many theories have been proposed to explain the phenomenon, either as a natural occurrence or a product of ancient human activity. However, none of these explanations have proven convincing or withstood scientific scrutiny. One of the most common suggestions is that these are fossilized tree roots. But tree roots do not contain iron, are not hollow symmetrical cylinders, and certainly cannot form a ceramic-like glaze as observed on some of the pipes. Another theory claims they might be part of an ancient water conduit system. Yet, the surrounding area shows no trace of human habitation, agriculture, or religious activity, rendering this theory implausible. Moreover, the sheer number of pipes found not only within the cave, but also scattered around the lake and mountainside, shows a clear directional pattern resembling a deliberately engineered network, something nature would not form at random. One of the most unsettling aspects for archaeologists is the complete absence of human traces in the area where the bong pipe system was discovered. There are no building foundations, no forges, no pottery shards, no stone tools, no human remains, not even ashes or remnants of campfires. We are looking at a structure with clear mechanical characteristics. Yet there is no sign of any engineers, craftsmen, or communities that could have built it. If the theory that ancient people constructed it is correct, then they must have been incredibly advanced. But paradoxically, they left behind no other trace of their existence. This very contradiction places the bong pipes completely outside all accepted historical frameworks. For a brief period, local authorities described the bong pipe system as the remnants of an alien base on the official tourism website of Qinghai province. Although that description was quietly removed later, it had already spread and captured attention from around the world. Since then, numerous expeditions, including UFO researchers, proponents of ancient alien theories, and experimental scientists, have visited the site. However, to this day, no complete explanation has ever been provided. The system remains silent and unmoving, as if it were daring humanity to uncover the truth behind it. In the end, the bong pipe system remains one of the greatest mysteries of ancient technology ever recorded on Earth. If it is a natural phenomenon, it is far too symmetrical and organized to have form by chance. If it was created by humans, it far surpasses the capabilities of any known ancient civilization. And if it is the remnant of an extraterrestrial design, then it may be one of the few physical clues that compel us to re-examine the entire history of humankind, not with blind belief, but with the question, how much do we truly know about our own past? Imagine a sword that can slice a stone in half, sever blade, yet remains flexible enough not to break upon impact. Its surface shimmers with flowing water-like patterns, not etched or painted, but formed naturally through a metallurgical process so complex no one today has been able to fully replicate it. This is Damascus steel, a legendary material that shaped the course of warfare for centuries, only to vanish suddenly like a miracle lost before it could be understood. What's even more astonishing is this. With all the tools of modern science, from electron microscopes to atomic simulations, humanity still cannot recreate a true Damascus blade like our ancestors once did. Why would an ancient technique remain out of reach in the 21st century? What secrets were buried with it? And will we ever rediscover them or forever live in the shadow of a forgotten genius? What do you think is the real reason we still can't recreate Damascus steel? Is it because the ancient materials are lost, the technique forgotten, or is there another secret no one dares to admit? Share your theory in the comments. Who knows? You might be holding the missing piece of this ancient mystery. Damascus steel is the perfect fusion of art and lethality, a material whose beauty is inseparable from its deadly function. What immediately sets this steel apart is the natural patterns that appear on the blade surface. These are not etched decorations or acid engravings, but rippling wave-like lines, burnt wood grain, or swirling sparks formed from the metal's very microstructure. These patterns result from a process of repeated heating, cooling, forging, and folding through which layers of carbon and iron fuse at the atomic level. They are not manually drawn, but rather a structural signature of the material itself, crafted by ancient blacksmiths using generations of intuition and hands-on mastery. More than mesmerizing in appearance, Damascus steel also possesses extraordinary cutting power. According to records and legends, a true Damascus blade could slice through armor, cut another sword in half, or even split a falling strand of hair. Some accounts claim the blade could draw a flawless line across a fingernail without scratching the skin, or even cut cleanly through river stones. This nearly perfect balance of sharpness, hardness, and flexibility made Damascus steel the pinnacle of ancient metallurgical art, turning any weapon forged from it into a legend. Although the name Damascus evokes the capital of Syria, the true origin of this legendary steel actually traces back to ancient India, where a remarkably pure form of steel known as woot steel was first produced. As early as the 3rd century BCE, Indian metallurgists had developed a technique of smelting iron ore in high-temperature charcoal furnaces under low oxygen conditions. This process yielded steel ingots with a high carbon content, exceptional purity, and a unique internal structure, forming the very foundation of what would later become Damascus steel. These Woots ingots were not only used domestically, but also became strategic trade commodities transported along ancient trade routes to the Middle East, where civilizations such as Persia, Syria, and Turkey transformed them into elite weapons. In the forges of Damascus, artisans did far more than simply cast steel. They employed highly intricate techniques of repeated folding and forging, meticulously controlling oxidation and adjusting the cycles of heating and cooling to enhance the bonding of metal layers. The result was Damascus blades with razor-like sharpness, astonishing flexibility and durability far beyond ordinary weapons. This wasn't merely a metallurgical achievement. It was the product of a fusion between Indian scientific ingenuity and the artistic forging traditions of the Middle East. Around the late 18th century, Damascus steel suddenly vanished from the world without leaving behind any clear explanation. Strangely, its disappearance wasn't due to weapons becoming obsolete or unnecessary. Instead, it was because people simply could no longer produce Damascus steel. Traditional blacksmith forges gradually shut down. The artisans who once crafted legendary blades shifted to using industrial steel with simpler processes. Even more unsettling is this fact. No detailed records of the original Damascus making process were preserved, or if they ever existed, they were lost to history. Some scholars suggest the cause may have been the depletion of wood steel sources in India, or that the master craftsmen who held the knowledge failed to pass it on when the Mughal Empire collapsed. Others argue that seemingly minor changes, such as the type of charcoal used, the chemical makeup of the iron, or the adoption of European forging methods, disrupted the microscopic conditions essential for producing true Damascus steel. It was a metallurgical art so precise that even the slightest deviation, temperature, humidity, cooling speed could ruin the entire process. And so a technique once considered the pinnacle of human craftsmanship fell completely into darkness. In the age of electron microscopes, atomic spectroscopy, and ultra-size isotope analysis, one would think that reconstructing an ancient alloy would be a straightforward task. Yet when scientists around the world have attempted to recreate Damascus steel, they've all encountered a strange paradox. While they can produce strong steel with wave-like surface patterns, none have succeeded in reproducing the exact internal structure, mechanical properties, or performance of true ancient Damascus steel. What shocked the scientific community even more was the discovery, through analysis of authentic ancient Damascus blades of carbon nanotubes and highly complex atomic scale structures. These are phenomena modern science didn't even begin to understand until the late 20th century. This revelation led to a bold hypothesis. Could ancient blacksmiths, through intuition and hands-on experience, have unknowingly created nanotechnology thousands of years before its discovery? No one can say for certain which variables were key. Did they use the exact right type of iron, or precisely balanced impurities, or a specific heat cooling cycle with narrowly defined temperature thresholds? Even seemingly minor factors, the kind of wood used for charcoal, the cooling rate, or even the humidity inside the forge might have played a crucial role. Just one deviation, and the result would be nothing more than ordinary steel. To this day, dozens of research teams continue the quest to recreate Damascus steel. Some modern versions come close in durability or appearance, but they remain contemporary imitations, never truly replicating the unique crystal structure, mysterious mechanical performance, or legendary micro-features of the original blades. This is no longer just a metallurgical challenge. It has become a race between modern science and the forgotten brilliance of the ancient world. Damascus steel is not merely a type of metal. It is a symbol of a lost technological civilization. These blades carry not just sharpness, but a timeless mystery forged by ancient masters who may have touched the edges of modern science through intuition, skill, and hands-on experience, and then carry their secrets to the grave. Today, the term Damascus steel is still used to market knives and swords with decorative patterns, but most are etched or layered modern steels, not the real thing. The original has been buried by time, leaving behind only questions that no one has yet answered. Do you believe that we will someday rediscover the true secret of Damascus steel? Or is it destined to remain one of history's eternal mysteries? Hidden beneath the mist of northern forests, nestled deep within the silent slopes of the Caucasus Mountains lies a series of strange structures that defy every definition in modern archaeology. They are not as towering as the pyramids of Giza, nor as magnificent as the temples of Athens. Yet they carry a sense of primordial mystery, as if they were created by an ancient hand that once understood laws we've long forgotten. These are the dolmens, thousands of mysterious stone houses with box-like shapes and a singular round hole on the front scattered throughout the mountainous regions of the North Caucasus, estimated to date back over 5,000 years. Some researchers suggest they may even predate any known civilization in Europe. With over 3,000 structures still standing, this region isn't just an archaeological treasure trove. It might be a missing link in the story of human civilization. We know they exist. We can measure them, touch them, and study every stone slab. But we still cannot answer one simple question. What were they built for? And that unanswered question is where this strange journey begins. If you stood before an ancient stone structure with a mysterious round hole hidden deep in the forested mountains, what would you think it is? A gateway to another world, an ancient energy station, or just the remnants of a forgotten civilization? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you have a bold theory of your own? The dolmens of the North Caucasus are not merely ancient stone blocks. They are evidence of a level of engineering far ahead of their time. Each structure is assembled from stone slabs weighing tens of tons cut with such perfect flatness that they appear to have been shaped by modern machinery. Strangely, the stones are fitted together without mortar, so tightly that not even a thin blade can slip between the seams. These dolmens are often located in extremely hard-to-reach areas, deep forests, steep mountain slopes, as if the ancient builders deliberately chose remote locations for their construction. Notably, the front of each dolmen features a perfectly round hole resembling a window which can be sealed with a separate stone plug. The geometry of the dolmens from height and width to wall thickness consistently follows strict mathematical proportions, indicating that these are not crude stone huts, but rather products of a sophisticated ancient technology that we still do not fully understand. One of the most common theories suggests that dolmens were tombs for tribal leaders during the Bronze Age. However, archaeological evidence seems to indicate otherwise. Among the thousands of dolmens discovered, only a very small number contain human remains or burial goods, while the vast majority are completely empty. Moreover, many dolmens are located in remote areas far from known ancient settlements deep within forests or atop rugged hills, raising the question, would ancient people really transport the dead across such difficult terrain just for burial? Additionally, some evidence shows that many dolmens were reused and their purpose may have changed over time. If so, they may not have been built as permanent burial sites, but rather as sacred multifunctional structures used by the community for rituals, spiritual practices, or even for purposes that have never been recorded in history. What makes the dolmens of the North Caucasus one of the greatest archaeological mysteries isn't their number or age, but rather the fact that their true purpose remains entirely unknown. Despite decades of research, no single theory has gained full consensus among scholars. These dolmens do not resemble typical tombs, nor do they bear the features of temples, dwellings, or defensive structures. Their box-like shape, the circular hole at the front, the cramped interior space, and the consistent design across thousands of structures all suggest a high degree of uniformity. Yet they do not fit any functional architectural category recognized by modern archaeology. Some propose they may be symbolic gateways to the afterlife or ritual chambers designed for acoustic resonance, or even ancient energy stations used for healing, meditation, or spiritual communication. Others offer bolder ideas, suggesting they could be remnants of a lost resonance-based technology. It is precisely this quality of view not belonging to any known system that makes the dolmens so captivating, as if they're the product of an ideology and knowledge system entirely alien to our modern understanding. Some researchers believe that dolmens may have been used as tools for communicating with supernatural or cosmic forces. They discovered that many dolmens were built at intersections of natural energy lines, also known as ley lines, which are believed to connect ancient sacred sites. Interestingly, the internal structure of dolmens is capable of producing strange acoustic resonance, echoing in unusual ways. This has led to the theory that sound and frequency may have been used in ancient rituals to induce altered states of consciousness, allowing humans to connect with the spiritual realm. If this theory holds true, then dolmens are not merely physical structures, but also spiritual instruments carrying within them vibrational knowledge that modern humanity has long forgotten. A bold yet increasingly discussed theory suggests that dolmens may have actually been ancient devices for regulating human biome, much like meditation chambers or vibrational therapy tools. Some studies have found that the stones used in dolmen construction react strongly to magnetic fields. And intriguingly, many dolmens are located near underground water veins or natural magnetic intersections, areas believed to amplify the Earth's energy. This leads to the hypothesis that ancient people may have understood resonance, frequency, and how natural environments could influence the human body. Alternative researchers refer to this as a form of lost technology, proposing that our ancestors once possessed a profound knowledge of energy far beyond what modern science currently recognizes. If true, then dolmens were not merely stone structures, but ancient biospiritual instruments, merging architecture with nature to serve purposes of healing and elevated consciousness. Many scholars believe that dolmens were sites for ancestor worship or ancient spiritual rituals. However, if their only purpose was ceremonial, then the construction of thousands of nearly identical structures using multi-tonon stones, precise geometric proportions, and deliberately selected geographical locations seems excessively elaborate. No known ancient culture invested such immense effort and resources solely for standard religious rites. Therefore, while the ritual theory may sound reasonable, it still fails to adequately explain the scale, uniformity, and remarkable complexity of the dolmens scattered across the North Caucasus. This suggests that the true function of the dolmens may be far deeper and more layered than we currently imagine. Whatever they may be, tombs, resonance devices, energy stations, or gateways to another world, the dolmens of the North Caucasus remain one of the greatest unsolved archaeological mysteries. No inscriptions, no symbols, no explanations were left behind. Only cold, silent stones bearing traces of a lost knowledge. Perhaps humanity once understood the world around us far more deeply, and the dolmens are the final echoes of a forgotten civilization, quietly calling us to listen, to question, and to awaken memories of truths once known, now buried beneath the sands of time. Imagine walking through the dense jungles of Mexico and suddenly coming face to face with a colossal stone head taller than a man, weighing tens of tons, silently staring at you with lifeless yet commanding eyes. No name, no inscription, just a head, massive, vivid, as if the spirit of an ancient king still dwells within it. This is the Olm, the very first civilization of the Americas, and yet one of its greatest mysteries. They left behind no written records, no historical texts, only structures of earth and stone, and most astonishing of all, those giant stone heads that continue to baffle the modern world. Who carved them? How did they transport such enormous basalt boulders across hundreds of kilometers of jungle without wheels or metal tools? And why, among all possible symbols of power, did they choose to sculpt the face and only the face? These questions have followed archaeologists for decades, and the deeper we delve into the Mech mystery, the more we begin to realize. Perhaps these silent stones are telling us a story that humanity has yet to fully understand. What do you think about these colossal stone heads? Are they simply portrait sculptures? Or do they hold something far beyond our current understanding? Could there have been a civilization that existed before the mech, one we have yet to discover? Or were the meme truly the original source of all Mesoamerican cultures? Why do you think the mech chose to carve only heads instead of full-body statues? Was it just an artistic decision, or did it carry deeper spiritual meaning? Do you believe we will ever fully unravel the mystery of the mech? Or will we forever be standing before these stone faces, guessing at a story long lost? Do you have your own theory? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective might just open a brand new path of discovery into this ancient and mysterious civilization. The colossal heads, a modern term for these massive basalt sculptures, are the most recognizable yet puzzling symbols of Themec civilization. To date, archaeologists have uncovered 17 of these stone heads spread across sites like San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapotes. Each head ranges in height from 15 to over 3 m and weighs between 6 and 50 tons, carved from basalt, an extremely hard volcanic rock. The first mystery lies in the origin of the stone itself. Studies show that these rocks were quarried in mountainous areas far from where the statues were found, especially the Tukla volcanic range located about 80 kilometers from La Venta. At the time, Themec had no wheels, no metal tools, and no mechanical engines. So, how do they transport such heavy stones across jungles, swamps, and rivers? The second puzzle is the incredible detail in the carvings. Each head has distinct facial features: large noses, wide mouths, thick lips, high cheekbones, clearly defined ears, and a helmet or headband, all suggesting individualized portraits, not generic symbols. This leads many scholars to believe these statues represent kings, chieftains, or legendary warriors. But who exactly are they? Some suggest they were tribal leaders honored posthumously. Others offer a controversial theory that the faces show African features, hinting that people from Africa may have reached the Americas long before Europeans, a hypothesis still hotly debated in academic circles. Moreover, the true meaning of the heads remains a mystery. There are no accompanying texts. We don't know the names of those depicted. No obvious tombs nearby. No busts, just the heads as if they symbolized pure power. The decision to carve only heads, not full bodies, deepens the enigma. While many other civilizations preferred full-body depictions like Egypt or Greece, the mech chose only the head as if it held the soul, divinity, and the essence of power. Adding to the mystery, Themec left behind no complete writing system. A few ancient symbols found at Cascadel appear primitive and aren't enough to recover a working language or script. Everything we know about them comes from architecture, artifacts, and archaeological speculation. Even the name wasn't theirs. It was given by the later Aztec, meaning rubber people, because the region was rich in natural rubber. We don't know what they called themselves, what stories they told, or what myths they believed about their gods or origins. They're like a ghost. Civilization appearing silently, shining brightly with culture and architecture, and then disappearing without a single farewell. Mech artifacts depict a weird jaguar figure, a being with the face or features of a jaguar, but the body of a human. Researchers believe this may represent a deity or a human merged with sacred power. Some carvings show scenes of human sacrifice, blood rituals, or succession ceremonies. These reveal a deeply spiritual world where political authority and religious ritual were intertwined. And perhaps the colossal heads were also part of this sacred world where the souls of leaders continued to reign immortalized through the gaze of stone. San Lorenzo and La Venta, the two main urban centers, emerged around 1200 BCC, predating Teotihuacan or Tikal. These cities had earned pyramids, drainage systems, straight roads, and clear urban planning. A surprising level of complexity for Mesoamerica's pre-urban era. But around 400 BCE, these cities were suddenly abandoned. There's no clear evidence of war, epidemic, or natural disaster. No signs of burning, no mass graves. It's as if they chose to disappear, stepping out of history for reasons we may never know. Though Themec vanished, their influence ran deep in later civilizations. The Maya, Zapotec, Mixtec, and Aztec inherited many mech traits, ritual ball games, pyramid architecture, proto-writing systems, calendars, and astronomical knowledge. Yet the mech themselves remain a civilization without words, without a clear identity, and without a written history. They are a true legend, real, tangible, but shrouded in the mists of time. When we stand before Amek Stonehead, what chills us isn't just the size or craftsmanship. It's the eyes. These massive, empty eyes, lifeless yet vivid, seem to be watching our modern world from a far-off place. They speak nothing, yet carry a message that transcends time. Perhaps to the Memek, power, belief, and identity were all encapsulated in the human face. And in the silence of stone, they told their story in the only way they believed would endure. A gaze that never fades. If you're passionate about archaeology, ancient mysteries, or simply intrigued by traces of forgotten worlds, the Mech civilization is a journey you can't resist. They left no words, no speeches, only stones, and within them an entire civilization still waiting to be understood. What do you think? Were the colossal stone heads just art or symbols of something supernatural? Do you believe we will someday decode their message? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Music, they built a city aligned with the stars. They raised pyramids that rival Egypt. They vanished in fire and left no name behind. Deep in the highlands of central Mexico lies a city so massive, so precise, and so mysterious that even the mighty Aztecs believed it was crafted by gods. This was Teotihuacan, the place where gods were born. Once the largest metropolis in the ancient Americas, its boulevards stretched for miles, flanked by towering pyramids and temples that whispered secrets to the skies. But centuries before Columbus, before the Aztecs, even before written history could remember their names, Teotihuacan burned, its temples were torched, its leaders overthrown, its knowledge buried. Who built it? Why did it fall? And what truly happened in the final days of this forgotten empire? The ruins remain, but the answers are hidden in the ashes. If you were standing among these massive ruins, once the heart of a burning empire that vanished without a word, what do you think really happened? Was it a people's uprising, a natural disaster, or something that modern history still can't explain? Share your thoughts in the comments below. During its golden age from the 1st to the 6th century CE, Teotihuacan was not only the largest city in ancient America, but also a leading center of architecture and spirituality. Spanning over 20 square kilometers, the city was meticulously planned around its main axis, the Avenue of the Dead, a road more than 2 kilometers long that connected 3 monumental structures: the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. These massive constructions showcased advanced engineering and a sophisticated cosmic worldview, as they were aligned with celestial bodies, reflecting a profound belief in the connection between humanity and the universe. The surfaces of these buildings were adorned with murals and religious beliefs that told sacred stories from this enigmatic civilization. One of the most mysterious aspects of Teotihuacan is the near-total silence of the people who built it. Unlike the Maya or the Aztecs, the inhabitants of Teotihuacan left behind no decipherable writing system. We don't know what they called themselves, what language they spoke, or where they originally came from. Even the name Teotihuacan, meaning the place where the gods were born, was given by the Aztecs when they discovered the city already abandoned. Ed by its scale and grandeur, the Aztecs believe it had been built by gods in the dawn of time. Scholars have long debated the origins and power structure within Teotihuacan. Some believe it was a multi-ethnic metropolis where Zapate, Mixtec, and even Maya people lived in distinct quarters, all contributing to the city's prosperity. Others argue that Teotihuacan was a theocratic center where a priestly class controlled both ritual and political life. There are even theories suggesting it was a highly militarized state ruled by a wealthy elite who oversaw trade networks that spanned across Mesoamerica. Teotihuacan's influence is evident in pottery, architecture, and religious symbols found as far away as Guatemala. One of the most mysterious and unique aspects of Teotihuacan compared to other civilizations of its time is the use of highly unusual materials and structures. Beneath the Pyramid of the Sun and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, archaeologists discovered underground tunnels and chambers lined with mica, a mineral known for its heat-resistant properties sourced from the Amazon region thousands of kilometers away. Even more astonishing, traces of liquid mercury, an extremely rare and toxic substance, were found beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, something almost unheard of in typical ritual contexts. These findings have fueled theories that the people of Teotihuacan possessed advanced knowledge in geology, insulation, and possibly astronomy, with these materials symbolizing the underworld or cosmic movements. Despite its overwhelming grandeur, Teotihuacan collapsed suddenly and violently around 550 to 600 CE. Excavations have revealed clear evidence of organized arson, targeting major temples, administrative centers, and elite residential areas. The very hubs of power were completely burned to the ground. Artifacts were smashed, murals were defaced, and sacred spaces were deliberately desecrated. This was not a slow decline brought on by time, but a deliberate act of destruction. It appears that some force rose up, not just to overthrow the old order, but to erase every symbol of authority associated with the ruling class. What shocks archaeologists and historians the most is the deliberate and methodical nature of Teotihuacan's collapse. Evidence at the site makes it clear. This was not the result of spontaneous chaos or an external invasion. The fires didn't erupt randomly. They were strategically set, targeting symbols of power, elite palaces, ceremonial murals, sacred statues, and political religious centers. These structures were not only burned, but also smashed, buried, and intentionally desecrated. The acts were more than just physical destruction. They represented a profound ideological rejection. Those behind the event didn't merely aim to overthrow the old order. They wanted to erase the entire belief system that had upheld the ruling class's authority. Particularly striking are the findings beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, the city's most powerful ceremonial center. Archaeologists uncovered mass graves containing dozens of skeletons showing signs of being bound, executed, and in some cases clear evidence of human sacrifice. These were not part of routine religious ceremonies. They appear to coincide with Teotihuacan's final phase, a time of extreme turmoil. Some scholars believe these are traces of a violent coup where factions within the ruling elite turned on each other in a brutal power struggle. Others suggest a powerful uprising from the common people, long oppressed, now rising to take revenge, not only against the rulers, but also against the sacred symbols that once bound them to the old power structure. Whichever the case, Teotihuacan's end was not a quiet decline. It was a violent, rage-filled collapse marked by systemic purging. Adding another layer to the mystery, environmental data from lake sediments near the region suggest that the Valley of Mexico experienced significant climatic shifts during this time. A prolonged drought may have strained agriculture and trade, leading to scarcity, starvation, and political turmoil. Combined with widening inequality, where luxurious palaces stood next to crowded communal housing, the society may have fractured under its own weight. The temples that once synchronized with the stars, guiding seasonal planting and religious festivals, may have lost their power when the rains failed. If the gods no longer responded, the priesthood would lose legitimacy. Social order built on cosmic balance could unravel with terrifying speed. And yet, Teotihuacan was not completely erased. Even after its destruction, its influence lingered like an echo. Pilgrims still came, traders still referenced its glyphs, and the architecture of Teotihuacan continued to inspire designs from Tikal to Monte Alban. Like a fallen empire that became a legend, its ruins turned into a shrine for civilizations to come. Modern excavations continue to unearth new enigmas. Recent discoveries include liquid mercury under the temple of the feathered serpent, possibly representing rivers of the underworld, and small golden spheres in hidden chambers, their purpose still unknown. Advanced scanning technology has revealed symmetrical tunnel networks aligned with solstices and equinoxes, suggesting that the city's destruction did not erase its knowledge, only buried it. Even today, the mystery of Teotihuacan's fall remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved puzzles. No single theory, rebellion, drought, economic collapse fully explains the scale and coordination of what happened. Like a complex code waiting to be cracked, the final chapter of Teotihuacan defies simplicity. Teotihuacan stands not just as a monument of ancient power, but as a warning, a reminder that even the most advanced societies can fall to internal fire. The stones speak of splendor, but the ash buried beneath them tells a story of loss, and perhaps that is why Teotihuacan continues to captivate, because it forces us to ask not only how civilizations rise, but why they burn.